talk about the Belle post-war, after the War Bonds tour, when everything was pretty much over. This thing was going to get scrapped, right?
Yep, so the Memphis Belle, they finished the War Bond tour, airplane was overhauled at Boeing, and then it became a training airplane in Florida for till the end of the war. And then at the end of the war, it was sent to a boneyard in Altus, Oklahoma. And I think very likely the story was going to end there, and the Memphis Belle would have been melted into soda cans. But fortunately, the folks of Memphis decided they wanted to get this airplane to display in the city of Memphis. And in 1946, they acquired the Belle. It flew from Altus to Memphis. It was the last time the airplane flew, by the way, 1946. And the airplane had some rough times in Memphis. It was displayed outside. There was some vandalism to the airplane. Some things were taken, and unfortunately, Memphis gets disparaged for that. But not only is that unfair, it's inaccurate. If Memphis had not saved the airplane, there would have been nothing to restore.
Yeah.
And then in the 80s, the airplane was kind of in pretty rough shape from sitting outside for so long. And an organization was formed, the Memphis Belle Memorial Association. They raised funding, did some restoration work, and displayed the airplane kind of under like a tent-like structure. And so they did some work with acquiring instruments and things like that. And then ultimately it was decided that either the Belle would be fully restored from stem to stern and displayed in a custom facility with a certain number of visitors seeing it each year in Memphis. And if that wasn't possible, then the airplane would be recalled, brought up to the Air Force's National Museum, and restored here. And to their credit, the folks in Memphis did a real honest analysis, if the funding was there to do it, and so on. When they determined that it wasn't, then the National Museum went down and brought the airplane here for restoration. And the folks in Memphis have done nothing but support the airplane. They helped acquire parts, they helped with funding. So the folks in Memphis stayed engaged with the restoration, and I'm happy to say that I count some good friends that I developed over the years down in Memphis. And I think in the end, we all understand that having this icon fully restored in the Air Force's National Museum, where literally millions of people have seen it and will see it, it turned out to be what was really right for the airplane.
Okay, that's a very interesting story. We saw a little bit of footage about there was like a purchase order from the Oklahoma guys to the Memphis. Do you know what they paid? So let's go through numbers. How much it cost to build, how much it cost and so on.
So the B-17F in that production run would have cost, with all government furnished equipment, engines, guns, everything, was about $391,000 in 1942. So today that would be about $7.5 million. And then the folks in Memphis got a great deal. Their cost is $350.
Wow. So
by the Reconstruction Finance Corporation. So I think $350 for a B-17 is even one slightly used would be a pretty good deal.
What is $350 in today's money?
Oh, I think it would probably be maybe $4,000 or $5,000.
So you're telling me that my Tacoma, I could have bought a B-17.
Yeah, so I mean, all we have to do is just invent a time machine, and then we can go back and buy one, no problem.
Right, yeah.
So here's a good example, speaking of the folks in Memphis. So without prompting, all of the archival material that they had, collections from the crew and so on, they brought up here without the museum asking.
Wow.
Another thing that they did was, and this is incredibly important, the maintenance logs of the Memphis Belle existed, and they were in the Memphis Belle Public Library, and the folks in Memphis worked to get those original maintenance logs up to here, where they're preserved in the archives of the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force.
Wow.
So just incredible support after the airplane came up here and to this day.
Hard question to answer. Do you have any idea what the value would be now?
I think it's priceless.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I
say that.
truly think it's priceless because this is a singularly unique artifact. Yeah, it's an airplane,
Yeah.
but it is a singularly unique artifact. It's important for the Air Force because the Air Force became a separate service with the premise that air power can be decisive on its own,
Mm-hmm.
and not just Army support, because why have a separate service?
Mm-hmm.
And the first time we really tried to use air power in a decisive way outside of the battlefield was the strategic bombing campaign against Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, also following the strategic bombing campaign against Japan. But the first time we did this was in Europe, and this airplane was picked to be the symbol of those crews. So this represents an independent Air Force, which Air Force was established in 1947. Also, too, as far as service and sacrifice and the victory in World War II,
Mm-hmm.
the losses that the heavy bomber crews took, and this represents the heavy bomber crews, it's an American icon, it's a national treasure.
Yep.
So it really truly is priceless, and it stands as an eternal symbol of that service and sacrifice. When you and I are long gone, this artifact, just like the flag from 1814 from our national anthem, or the Arizona, or the flag that flew on Iwo Jima, these national treasures will be preserved and tell those stories long after we're gone.
I think this is the best outcome. There wouldn't be any other place or any other situation or scenario. I think where it is now is where it belongs.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine any other place in the Air Force's National Museum.
Okay.